It's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Welcome to Tweed Townhall Presents. My name is Janelle,
And I'm Jeff.
I'm Patty.
and we're here for another show. We're a mother, daughter, son team. We've lived and worked through mental health challenges and the mental health care system. So, welcome to number 6.
For many,
everyone.
many years.
Yes.
FYI.
Yes.
So, welcome everybody.
Welcome and thank you for listening. And before we get into this episode, which we'll get into in a minute, but we wanted to say thank you to everybody who's been following our pages on Facebook and commenting on our shows, and we appreciate your support.
That's much appreciated, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So, this show, I don't know if anybody can guess what it could be about.
Breaking news.
Does anybody remember that, by the way? It's
For
11
kids.
o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
Yeah, it's about how media and news can affect our mental health, which is there's been a shift in the media landscape in the last 20 years. And we're constantly looking at our phones for breaking news, just news in general.
Which, as you can guess, that has a lot to do with access,
Yes.
which
So
we'll get into a little bit.
that's what we'll chat about in this episode. But I want to get back to it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?
I remember hearing that
Because-
almost like every night, right when the news started. Which didn't you say was
And
only
like-
on one channel that they did that?
WKBW
For
TV
around here.
Channel 7, our local broadcast TV network, used to say that at 11 o'clock every night.
Well, there's
I was gonna
there's history behind it though.
Yeah, I was
When
gonna say you have like something about that, don't you, Janelle?
Yeah, so in 1961, there was a Massachusetts state senator who was William X. Wall, and he urged all radio and television broadcasters to ask that question on the air to remind parents to check up on their kids. So then in Buffalo, New York, Irv Weinstein, I don't know if any locals are listening to us right now, but you know who Irv Weinstein is if you're around in the
Mhm.
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
Right.
He started saying it on every broadcast at 11 p.m. So, but you know what I learned, you guys?
What?
I learned because I posted this question on our socials, and I asked if anybody remember the phrase.
Yeah.
And I got some comments and said, "Yeah, but it was 10 p.m."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, real?" Because it was a national thing, I guess. Like
Yeah.
whatever station wanted to use,
It would depend on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just knew it as at 11 o'clock.
And they do still use it today in
Yeah.
like certain news areas. But what did you guys feel when you heard that every night? It's 11 o'clock. Do you know
To
your
me, it
children
was
are?
the beginning of the news, and it was just like
Really?
It actually became a thing we would say a lot too, because like we knew that it was a thing with the news, but we would just say, "Hey, it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are?"
That's interesting.
Like, you'd
because
ask people that,
I
yeah.
have a different opinion on that.
Well, I think
But-
parents wanted to make sure their kids were safe at 11 o'clock at night.
I was
Well,
also gonna,
because to me, go ahead.
I was gonna say that it also created the like setup in your mind for the news, because like that was the first thing they said. So then you're like, okay, so what's new today?
I have a
'Cause it
total.
was just- Became a thing.
Yes, but for me, it went a lot deeper than that.
Okay,
To me, like it had a sense of urgency to it.
really?
It made you take notice of it.
Okay,
And sometimes I would be like, "Oh my God, where's my kids?"
it is a catchy.
And I'm like a
It is.
teenager listening to this, like
It's like a grabbing phrase.
yeah,
you
like
know?
it was kind of scary in a way, like when you would hear that phrase every night, because like I
I
said,
have to ask
like,
mom this, but I wonder if parents around that would hear that.
yeah.
I wonder if it actually made them think like, "Oh man, where are my kids?"
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm
Like-
saying. That was me. Like, and I was only like, I was young. I was a teenager.
Well, you know what they
this time,
say?
but-
After 9 p.m., nothing good happens.
well, yeah, that was popular when you were
The younger you
yeah.
are too, I would
Right.
say that's more true. But for anyone that's
But-
younger than like, I would say 35 or so, they might not know that phrase.
Right, because they stopped
You know?
doing it a while
Yeah,
back.
well, I'd be
Unless they,
interested to know,
unless they
like,
research this somehow.
if you're listening, let us know if they still do that in your area, because they do still say that.
Oh, I wonder.
They do still say that in some news markets across the U.S.
Yeah.
So that's what we'll be chatting about on this episode is the news.
And how negative it is.
Well, we're
Most of
gonna
it.
focus more on the negative, right? But we'll go a little bit over some positive stuff.
Yeah, that'll be at the end because we want to like end it on a positive note. But
But for whatever
Uh,
reason, it seems like more like negative news gets more attention for the most
Of
part.
course.
Negative
yeah.
So-
news creates drama,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, yeah, it does. And like back in the before technology really took off,
Mhm.
you only watched the news like what once a day.
6
You read
o'clock at night, and
read
evening
yeah,
news.
You remember newspapers?
you read the newspaper, and that was
Hey,
it.
newspapers are
Walter Cronkite,
not
and
as
CBS
popular
News.
Yes.
by a long shot.
You would read the newspaper with your morning coffee, watch the 11 o'clock news, and that was it.
Yeah.
You could go about your day. But now you can't do that because we have devices that don't allow us to do that.
Mhm.
24/7 news cycle.
Yeah, you can access whatever you want at any given time.
So back in the day, it was newspapers that you waited for, because the first negative news story I remember was the JFK assassination.
Oh yeah.
I was in 6th grade, I believe.
Wait, wasn't that on TV?
That was on television, the coverage of
The
his
coverage of it.
funeral.
But
And
did they show the
whatnot.
actual footage of it?
No, afterwards they did. But
Okay, yeah.
they blocked out a lot of things, obviously.
Right.
But yeah, for many days after that, everybody was in mourning. And that's what I remember
yeah,
about
'cause
that.
that was a big
That was the first
event.
negative news story that I was affected by, I believe.
So how did that affect your
November of
parents, too?
1963. My parents,
'Cause that
well, they were in awe of JFK.
yeah.
So I remember our drapes were shut for 4 days. We watched, it was so dark in our living room. It's like we lost a family member.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And everybody felt like that because he was a young president with a
Yeah,
family.
Right. Yeah.
And it was just a shock to the nation and the world. I was 11 years old when that happened, and I still think of it today.
That was a big news story back then. And that, like, back then affected everybody, I feel like, because he was such a prominent political figure.
Oh yeah.
I still have the newspaper
So-
from that time.
Yeah. So how did that affect you, Mom? Were you like in shock over all this stuff?
Yeah, everybody thought.
I
who-
can
who
imagine
could
being
do
alive
that to
during
a
those times and
president?
Yeah,
experiencing
I know.
like
And then that
Those
was
were the
during,
shock
that
years
was
back
the-
then.
during the civil rights era also.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So first news story, which I did have written down here, the Challenger, but we were talking before we started our show, and which I also have this written down in my notes too. But the first news story, and I got the dates totally wrong, but Adam Walsh, the kidnapping of Adam Walsh. Stuff. Do you remember the kidnapping?
I remember that name, but I don't remember the
'Cause he
story
would-
too much.
He would only been like,
He wasn't even born yet.
yeah, because it happened
in
in
It must just be
1981.
from you guys bringing it up.
1981.
Yeah.
because they did do a movie on that also, which
Right.
was in '83.
Where
But-
was that originated? Was that this area or was that national?
I think it was Florida.
I have to
Florida.
let me Google that real quick.
I think it was
'cause I can't
Florida
remember
that it
where
happened.
he was from, but
But I remember being scared all the time when we went shopping that this would happen to one of my kids.
oh yeah,
Kidnapping.
how old was I when I had the red coat and the
Oh, you were about 4 years old.
That was
right,
around the
right
same
about the same
time.
time. Yes.
oh yeah, because I thought I was a lot older when we mentioned Adam Walsh. I thought I was like 10, but I was 4 when this happened. And
Mhm.
Mom, I remember you being like
In a
stressed
panic.
out all the time about the story
Right.
because
That can happen to anybody.
right. So that was a huge news story that was covered a lot in the
How
media
old
during that
was he?
time.
Adam Walsh.
Maybe around 6 or 7.
So do you know? Can you like summarize it real quick? Because I don't really know any details about it. So was he ever found?
They found.
Wait a minute. This
Yes, he was found.
he was abducted from a Sears department store.
Yes, he was.
So that same incident that
that-
happened with me.
it was in Sears.
Can you tell that story about me and Sears real quick?
Well, this was right around the time that Adam Walsh was missing. So I was shopping with my 3 kids in Sears, and one child was in the stroller. The other 2 were walking. They were like 4 and 5, 4 and 5.5. Maybe the baby was in the stroller. So all of a sudden, I can't find Janelle. I'm like, Janelle, I'm looking under all the coat racks and the clothing racks, the circular racks. She was playing under. Now all of a sudden, she went missing. And where did she go? Well, she had on this little red trench coat, and she went to hide in the dressing room, and her coat was in the
Sticking out of the door?
sticking out of
Thank
it,
God it was. Oh my goodness.
out of the door frame, and there she was in there. She was hiding on me, but my heart was racing 200 beats a minute
Yeah, because during
'cause I
that,
couldn't find her. All
Well,
I
that-
thought about was a kidnapping.
no, I didn't even correlate the timeline of like the Adam Walsh kidnapping and that incident happening. It's the
Mhm.
same time.
Yeah.
But he went missing from a Hollywood, Florida Hollywood Mall in Hollywood, Florida, in 1981, and then they found him 2 weeks later. So that was a huge news story at that time.
Was it ever revealed as the motivation of why he was taking? Like, why was he targeted, or was it completely random?
Well, there was a convicted serial killer. I don't want to say his name, but he confessed to Adam's murder, but was never convicted of the crime because evidence was reportedly lost. And he later recanted his confession. He died in prison of liver failure.
As far as you know, it was random, and he was just like a psychopath of some sort.
Well, he was a serial killer, so he probably targeted.
That was his.
So parents,
target.
Be mindful of where your kids are when you're shopping.
Well, when you reminded me of it when you were saying that story about Janelle, but I remember those circular clothing racks in stores, which seemed to be like all over the place.
Right. Mom,
in those days. They're still
How
around
do you
now.
do that? Oh my goodness.
They're still in stores now, but I don't know if there's as many of them. But parents out there, I'm sure, can all relate to your kids like hiding on you in the store in those racks, and you're like freaking out. Where's my kid? But yeah, you just gotta be very careful.
But so I did want to mention the other story that really stuck with me as a kid. I was 9 when it happened. Was the Challenger explosion. So that day, I stayed home from. I got sick a lot when I was a kid. I had like ear infections all the time. But I was home from school that day when they aired it live on television, and then it took off and it exploded, like midair. It was 73 seconds into the flight. So that like I remember gasping. Do you remember watching this? Like I remember being in shock, and
I was on the phone with Maura when that happened.
I was completely heartbroken when that happened, And they had a teachers program that because I remember Krista McAuliffe, she was on the shuttle, and I just remember her because she was a teacher, and they had a teacher in space project at the time. And it was to have teachers go into space so then they could come back and share their experience with their students.
Yeah.
So that really resonated with me because I was 9 and like I had teachers that I loved at that time. So I was just really drawn to her for that reason, But I was so heartbroken when that happened. And that really made an impact on me. So, Jeff, do you remember your first
Well, it's just more so memorable because I'm sure there's something that would happen before.
Or anything memorable, right?
The most memorable for me, as far back as I could go, was the O.J. Simpson trial. Oh, and I was in middle school at the time, and I had to look this up because it seems like it was. I felt like I was in high school, but I was really in middle school because it happened in 1994.
I know it's a lifetime,
very long time ago now.
22 years ago. Yeah.
But to me, that stuck out because like
20? No.
Every day after school, I'd come home and that would be on.
I turn on the TV.
For how? Do you know how long the trial went on for, Ma?
Oh, it was about a year, maybe.
Yeah, and like that was insane. Like every day, that's what was on TV.
Do you remember the Bronco chase on the freeway?
Yep, the white Bronco. Yep.
Yeah, that was. We were all glued to the TV when that happened too. But like all this stuff creates like, oh my God, what's gonna happen type feeling. It makes you anxious.
Right.
It makes you on edge. It affects your mental health.
Well, you mentioned too, like a psychological reason why we're drawn to some of this stuff is you're viewing what's going on from a safe place, and you want to stay updated on it, but you also know that you're fine, and you're just viewing it on TV or whatever, however you're viewing it.
Well, back like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Like 2000 on, I won't say, like since we got social media and like all these, apps you can access on your phone. 24/7, meaning there's constantly something that's breaking, updating, developing, or escalating.
Yep.
And then if nothing like dramatic is happening, it gets reframed to like feel like it's dramatic, So it's constantly there. So the that ding sound that they have on news channels, like breaking news, ding. Like that could be a trigger for some people. Like
I'm sure that triggers a response in your head to some degree.
And then I did want to do a little thing here where, because Jeff, I was telling you about my Facebook feed is like constantly like
I just want to say real quick, this is funny because you just mentioned the breaking news thing.
What?
And now nobody could probably hear this, but there's a train
I know.
in our neighborhood going on.
I'm gonna have to
blowing its horn. It is blowing the horn right now.
There's a train coming through right now.
That is hilarious.
At the right we did not script that.
Right when you started saying that breaking news comment, that's when it started.
It's appropriate. So I wanted to go through my feed because I don't know what your algorithms look like on Facebook,
Yeah.
but mine is like animal abuse stories because I follow a lot of animal shelters, and it's like
A
animal
lot of
abuse
wolves. I mean,
stories.
but it's good. It's good stuff.
And then I just want to go through my Facebook feed real quick to give you guys an idea of what I see all the time.
I try to stay
Like-
away from videos like that because just I don't like watching that stuff.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
but they
like
prompt on her
Yeah,
social
once
media
once
all the
you
time.
look at the
Yeah.
video, your algorithm's gonna
so yeah,
say, hey,
that-
you like this,
like
so I'm gonna give you more.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah.
You're training the algorithm, the good old algorithm, to tell you like what you want to see.
Mhm.
You know, so it doesn't help. It doesn't help anything. But yeah, like mine is a lot of I follow some storm chasers. That's not really negative news though, but like my Facebook feed is constantly like this is happening. You know, Mom, is yours Facebook feed like
I want to
that?
say another thing about what impacted me years ago.
Oh,
It
go
was in
ahead.
1966. And the way the news covered it then, rather than saying breaking news, they would say, "This just in."
Oh yeah.
This
Oh
just
yeah, I
in."
remember that. I actually
Yeah.
remember that.
That's
Like-
kind of
Yeah.
That's kind of stressful.
So-
Either from you talking about it or from it actually being on.
This
the-
just
I
in.
remember that.
Well, I remember this story. I was 14 and I wanted to be a nurse. So this just hit my nerve really good when they said 8 nurses' lives were taken by this man in 1966. 1 survived. And I thought that was just ingrained in me forever because I wanted to be a nurse. And I thought, oh, geez, do we really want to be a nurse now after this?
Oh yeah, so that
You're
that-
just thinking,
He
can I be
was
a target?
serial
right.
guy, so
yeah.
so that impacted me too back then, and I was 14. So these stories stay with the person,
They do.
so it affects your emotion in that way, and you're just on guard a lot.
Yeah, it starts affecting your daily life and thinking it like
And
this
another
happened to me
story,
type thing.
And during the civil rights era, my father was a police officer,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Talk
So-
about how stressful that was.
so that was stressful. My mother was, she acted like just nothing because she was used to it, I guess. But
Or
she
she
was-
could have been doing that to
she-
protect you from the stress of it all.
yeah, maybe so. But I remember my friend and I were sitting on the porch. He got called into work one night to work riot control. And he
Yeah.
said, "Don't worry about it, Patty. Everybody knows me down there." So
Yeah.
Mhm.
I had to go on that premise that he was going to be safe. But it really was stressful for the children.
So you stayed on the
We
porch.
stayed on the
until-
porch, and so
until-
my mother said, "Come in, he's fine."
Oh yeah.
But my mother
'cause-
was like a stoic person, so she
Yeah.
acted like nothing ever bothered her. So
Well, yeah. She it probably did bother her, but she just didn't want to show that.
she didn't
to
want
you,
to show
you know?
us that.
Yeah.
Do you know another one, which, I mean, Mom and everybody in the world probably has a memory of this, is 9/11, obviously.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's another one that sticks
That's a
out for
big
me.
one.
Yeah.
But I was in college and I was taking fine arts at the time, so I was in a drawing class,
Oh.
and it was like right when the class started. Like what was the exact time again? Do you remember?
It was about 8:57 or something.
Yeah, it was an early class, so we were already in our class, and then that broke on the news, and they made an announcement that all the rest of the classes were canceled for the day.
Yeah.
I went to the cafeteria, I think, to look at the TV for a little bit, and then I came home. And it was just on the news every day after that. For
Yeah, that's one of
who knows
those
how long.
that's one of those moments where you remember where you were when it happened.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go to school that day, and then it happened.
hmm
And then you were watching the coverage live on. I was watching ABC with Peter Jennings at the time,
Yeah,
and when the first plane hit the tower, you thought that was it, you know.
yeah.
Then the second plane came, and you were like, I'm getting like shaky thinking about it because like it just
Yeah,
like,
it didn't end. Like, it went on that whole day.
yeah, there's no words to describe it. And then I remember watching Peter Jennings on TV, and the building collapsed, and I was just like in shock. And Peter Jennings, you could tell he was trying to maintain his composure, but you could tell he could not believe what he was saying.
just felt like unreal.
It did.
watching
It
that
still
happen.
does.
Yeah.
That will never go away. That feeling of it was just crazy. But
Do you remember we got in your car and we went over by the airbase just to make sure everything was safe
yeah,
over there?
yeah.
Because we wanted to make sure we were going to be safe.
You know, I really feel like there was a shift that happened during 9/11 with the world,
Definitely.
with so many things, you know, because people became more,
The Patriot Act happened.
like on high alert about things. And I feel like that was when we really started to get like the 24/7 news cycle during that time. I was glued to my TV.
Yeah, coincidentally,
I had to watch everything.
That's when phone technology
Yeah.
started.
Yeah,
like,
and I
to
think-
improve at that
Yeah.
time.
I
early
feel like
2000s.
everybody got a cell phone after that too, to make
Yeah.
sure everybody was safe.
I had to watch every single piece of coverage.
I
And
remember being up to like 3 and 4 in
Yes.
the morning, just
Mhm.
glued to the TV watching
yes,
that.
absolutely.
Well, speaking of cell phones, I remember hearing back in the 80s, people in Israel always had cell phones so
Yeah.
they could contact their family members to make sure they were
Yeah.
okay.
See, that became a worry
that
of
became a thing.
people.
And I'm sure it still is
Yeah,
now.
it is still. It
As
is
of
still.
today.
It still exists to this day, and it's gotten worse, honestly, But our nervous systems weren't designed to process tragedy like that all day long.
Mhm.
So that's why it creates a lot of anxiety in people. And there was a new term for like scrolling your news feed all day.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever hear of the term doom scrolling?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Because COVID
It's
also
like you go down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
You know.
I feel like there was another shift after COVID happened too. I
Yeah.
don't know if you guys feel this way, but like during COVID especially, people couldn't go anywhere. So what were they
A
doing?
lot more time on
To
the
occupy
phone.
their time.
Yeah.
They were on their phones, scrolling, seeing all this constant news about, the casualties of COVID, and
For sure. Yeah,
there's
that
a, there's a
definitely
there's a
happened.
lot of fear mongering that happens also. And I actually, just before we started
Yeah,
recording,
it's the fear of the next major thing happening.
Right.
exactly,
You know?
yeah. So
Like I remember when we did our episode on grieving, we talked about that with death, like
Uh-huh.
fearing somebody that's gonna pass away in your
Right.
life. Like
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of the same thing with a major news break.
it's
Like you're-
it's anticipatory.
Anticipatory anxiety.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
So before we started recording, I came across a TikTok, and she was really upset because with the Iran thing going on right now, there's a lot of accounts that will fearmonger,
Mhm.
and they'll have like a sense of urgency that's not realistic.
Hmm.
They'll be like, making you fear for your life.
Yeah.
So you got to be mindful of who you follow on social media, because there are a lot of accounts that fearmonger because it gets views.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of that when you're doom scrolling. I don't really like that term, but it's,
Well, I was telling you too. Like, there's one guy I
when you-
follow on YouTube that does the prepper
Yeah,
videos,
uh-huh.
which is like a SHIT hit the fan scenarios,
Uh-huh.
like anything that can happen that's gonna cause like a grid down situation.
yeah,
To me, I'm interested in it because it's like survival stuff.
Right.
Like what
Yeah,
would you
yeah.
do if that happened?
yeah,
But because of what's going on in the world right now, he's covering that.
right.
And it's like if you're paying attention
Oh,
to those videos and you get updates every day on it, it's
Yeah.
gonna make you pay more attention to it, which can have a negative
Well,
effect.
does
you
that
know?
make you anxious at all, or are
It
you
does
able
a little
to,
bit when you see like a
compartmentalize
new
it?
update. You're on, well, what happened now?
Yeah.
Because he breaks news just like the regular news does.
Yeah. So
So-
I'm going to ask you guys, Mom, because right now we're following heavily the Nancy Guthrie case.
Mhm.
Me,
Yes, I
Mom,
You've roped me into it a little bit, Mom. As far as it's like
Jennifer,
it's
my
on TV
sister.
and it's just
and Jennifer.
it's being talked about. So
I'm just going to be real. We are literally watching this all day long. The coverage on it,
Well, I know when
And-
I put my phone down because it gets to be too much.
but I will say
Like,
this:
news
you
fatigue,
guys,
though,
for
like-
those three that Janelle just mentioned, my elder sister Janelle and my mom, they all have detective tendencies.
Yeah. I wonder
So they
why.
want to like
Well,
solve the case.
Yeah.
So I will say that is a
Well,
part of
they don't
why
know.
you're doing it.
They don't
I'm
know,
just
but I'm
saying.
just going to say this goes deep, guys listening. This goes deep.
Yeah.
We at one point called ourselves Charlie's Angels, which
Yes,
I
we
won't
did.
get into.
And
However,
one of our
But that's just a little bit of
relatives used to
info.
call us the FBI.
Like they have that motivation too.
Yeah, I told
added
them.
on top of just like they want to know what happened to her.
well,
you know?
that goes back to probably Mom and Grandpa being a police officer.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
Because
it's
Mom
related.
always loved to do the detective stuff, but I wanted to ask you, Mom, because I know for me, because I'm anxiety prone anyway, but Mom, you're not. So I wanted to ask you, Mom, when you're watching the Nancy Guthrie case, like you said, you have to put your phone down after a
I
while.
have to put it
'cause
down after a while because it's all repetitive. Nobody knows anything.
But it's
But I want to keep informed about what's going on because I just want to.
but
when news breaks, you want to know.
Yeah, I want to know.
But wait, listen, so that's
I
interesting.
want to be
But
informed.
there's a difference on
Because-
how she processes it versus you. Like,
because my answer is different, and Jennifer said I could say this. So Jennifer texted me the other day and she said she cannot watch anymore because it's getting to her like
She
emotionally.
feels the stress, you're
Yeah.
saying.
You have to
Yeah.
know your limits with that.
That's
Well,
when,
Like, I put my phone down for a few hours, then I'll go do my own thing and then come back later to see what's going on.
But Mom, it's interesting because you said because there's no new information. For me, it's because I want to know what happened. I want to know where Nancy is. You know, like it's more emotional for me. Like I can't. I have
do you
trouble.
feel the physical effect
Yes,
of that?
I do.
Mom, do you?
But Mom doesn't.
I kind of
Yeah.
do. But this
But
case
it's more
is
controllable.
It's such a mystery. Nobody knows what happened. It's like she disappeared into thin air.
Well, like a person like
This
me.
is a very odd
It's
story.
very
I will
odd,
say that. That's what's kind of
peculiar.
intriguing
It's
for
very
me.
peculiar.
'Cause, like, I want to know what happened to her also because it's so weird.
It's so bizarre
the
how she
sequence of
just
events
disappeared.
that nobody really knows how it all happened, but
I have
all
a
the
thought
options
on
that are
it.
out there are just strange. Mainly
But-
because she's an elderly woman. That's what.
Well,
does it, like,
it's making me think about how we do things.
Well, she's
in
a
our
vulnerable
lives.
person,
Yeah.
just like a child is. So
Yeah.
why would you go after an elderly person?
yeah. Why was she
But
a
people
target?
go after children
If she
all
was
the
a
time.
target,
It's rare to go after an elderly woman.
But Mom, I think it's so interesting that you said like my answer to that is why I put my phone down is not because of informational reasons. It's because of emotional reasons.
Mhm.
Oh, see, I'm
you know?
more informational.
But I'm, as an anxious person, way more vulnerable to that aspect of it than you are because you handle stress way better than me.
Okay, for you people out there, the best thing for you to do with your phone is to keep it out away from your bedroom. Keep it charging in the living room or kitchen because I find that when I keep it away from me, I sleep better. And I get up in the morning,
that's very hard to do.
get my coffee. I say my prayers in the morning that today's going to be a good day. Go make my coffee, have breakfast. Then I turn my phone on and see what the information shows about any case.
That could be a
might
challenge for
following.
everybody out there because I
Yeah.
think most people have their charging thing right next to your bed.
Yeah.
And if it's there, you're tempted to just go on your phone and scroll until you're getting tired enough to fall
I am
asleep, you know?
horrible at that.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just tell you.
That's a bad
I-
routine.
So
to
that's
do.
a
I-
challenge for everybody.
The first thing I do when I wake up is check my phone. And
Why don't you say
So now
a
I
prayer?
try not
Wait.
to, but the temptation
Well,
is always
I
there.
know.
Why don't you
know.
say a
So you
prayer
have to-
first before you get started? with
maybe I'll
that?
start doing that. But when you're exposed to negativity right when you wake up, that's not a good way to start
You
the day.
you have to actively like tell yourself don't
Yeah,
do
I
it.
know.
You have to be like proactive about it and develop a way to not do it.
And first of all, it's not a good way to end your day by watching the 11
No.
o'clock news
No.
because you
Right.
go to bed with all the stress on your
It
mind.
stimulates
Yeah.
your brain.
Yes.
It goes against falling asleep.
But I have to say, the Moscow, Idaho case with Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana really bothered me. Like during that whole Idaho case.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
I followed that too.
And I started having nightmares about the case
Hmm
because I was watching it so much.
That's a sign that to
But
get away from it, you know?
yeah, like they're jarring. Like
Yeah.
when you just get so wrapped up in the case that you need to know what's happening at every moment,
Mhm.
you know?
If they caught the
So-
guy. That's what
Well,
you wanna
yeah,
know.
like
when are
that-
they going to catch this
Yeah,
person?
exactly. The same thing with the Nancy Guthrie case.
Yeah.
The person that did this is still out there.
Yeah, and someone knows who did
So,
it.
so you have a bit of uneasiness thinking about that aspect of it too. And Savannah and her family, I'm heartbroken for them. Like I just think about what they must be going through. But I did want to mention reporters because Brian Enton became like when I was following Idaho
Mhm.
is when I started to follow Brian Enton.
Yeah.
He's really good at
Investigative,
reporting the
yeah.
news with a very compassionate and thoughtful and like comforting
More
approach.
more personable.
And yeah, he has integrity and he works
Mhm.
his butt off too, you know? And
But when I seen him in
I-
the news the one day, I could tell just by the way he looked because you could tell he was like exhausted.
yeah,
from all the work he's been
he works
putting
his
in.
butt off. And I have to agree with what Ashley Banfield said. She called him this generation's Walter Cronkite, which
Mhm.
is, right on because he is. And I just appreciate how he reports because his heart is in it. And a lot of reporters are not like that. So, but he's become like my comfort during cases like this. Like I'll just go listen to Brian and he'll be like the voice of reason, you know? Because when you're following cases like this, you need that. You need that comforting reporting, compassionate reporting. Thank you to Brian Enton and reporters like him, because they really help you get through things like this.
So I wanted to talk about was because as far as like this affecting your mental health. So I asked everybody at work if they know anything about this case or following it.
Yeah.
The Nancy
And
Guthrie
all of
case.
them are not, like, I don't know, there might be a couple that are, but most of them are not following and don't really know much about what's going on.
Yes.
And so it just made me
yeah.
think, like, one way, like, this is affecting you emotionally,
Yeah.
your mom and Jen, but avoidance
Mhm.
is like a major coping
The
skill
answer?
with something like this.
Yeah.
But it's the attraction is there, like the temptation is there to see
like,
what's going on.
That's
But
you know what?
if it has such a negative impact, that's what you have to
Yeah.
find something else to do.
You know what? You know what? I have trouble though pulling myself away. This is probably the empath in me talking, but when I like put my phone down, I feel bad because the families that are going through this
It's
can't do that.
That's definitely your empath.
You know, like
empathy
I
coming
can
out.
just we have the privilege of just walking away.
They don't, yeah.
The family that this stuff happens to does not have that privilege.
Yeah.
They're in it 24/7. So I just think about them and how hard it must be for them.
I think I just want to be aware of what's going on in this country. That's why I follow these
And then, yeah,
stories.
there's nothing wrong with that. But, you know, like we said earlier, you got to have boundaries.
And there's a lot of missing people out there too, not just Nancy Guthrie. A lot of missing children or adults.
Oh yeah, it has national
This has
attention because of
national
who they
attention,
are. But you're right. Yeah, a lot of things go on that you never hear about.
So I'm going to say, like, when you're getting back to doom scrolling, when you're like doom scrolling on your phone, you go into the darn rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone listening, I bet you know what the rabbit hole is, because once you go in that rabbit hole, you are not coming out for a good long while.
Yeah, and social media knows that. And they create their algorithms to play into that.
Yeah, there comes a point where I'm in the rabbit hole and I'm like, I need to stop. I got to get out, but it feels
that's what I
impossible to
do.
escape.
No,
There needs to
it's
be a
easy.
notification designed into phones
No,
that
there
says
is.
you are in the rabbit hole. Stop.
Yeah, well, that's on YouTube. They have an alert that pops up.
No, they don't.
Yes, they do. That says it's time. You've been on the screen too. I forget what it says exactly, but they give you a pop up that says, "Do you want to take a break from your screen?"
Wow.
Which I so appreciate.
Which, by the way, you can have that set up on your phone.
Yeah.
Phones all have settings for that. I don't use mine, but
because you honestly don't realize how long you're on your phone
Yeah.
until that notification comes up.
Yeah.
But
You have to know your boundaries with it.
I didn't know individual apps were doing that. That's interesting.
yeah, YouTube does that.
Wow.
So I appreciate.
I was
that
I was
they-
just joking when I said that. It was
No,
okay.
no. It's actually a thing.
Good to know.
You know? but yeah,
That's
so
Crazy.
yeah, every time it pops up, I'm like, geez, maybe I should take a break. So it is helpful to have.
I have to
that.
tell you about the Iran war. The other night I went to bed and all of a sudden somebody knocks on my door and my son comes in and says, "We just bombed Iran." Right when I was going to sleep. And I'm like,
Well, so what was
okay.
your reaction
My
to that? Were
reaction
you
was
immediately
I sat up
stressed
in
out?
bed. Not really. 'cause
That went against your
you know,
like,
I've-
psychology of like getting
Yeah.
ready to go to sleep and then
Right.
hear something like that.
I know.
You're
I
supposed to
mean,
be calming
back in
down.
Yeah.
we went all through this 1979 business years ago when I was younger. So it's like you can't trust Iran. So you got to just hope everything
Well, I will say
goes
too,
for the best.
you're
but-
good at this, just like I'm good at this. Is if you don't have control over something,
Right.
you don't let
You
it
don't
affect
let it
you as much.
affect me, so
Like,
I
me and you are good at that.
I just thought about
Well-
it for a while and said a prayer and went back
Yeah.
to sleep.
I did want to talk about a little more about the newspaper stuff though, because I had some stuff on that.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Like the newspaper reading in the morning versus picking up your phone like any time of the day that you want.
yeah.
So we talked a little bit about this, but there's a difference between the newspaper, which is like a physical thing you can touch,
Mm.
and it's more limited because it's once a day,
Yeah.
and it's more like a slower pace versus the digital, which is like,
Mm.
I'm snapping right now if you guys can't hear, but like it's fast paced. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like I could just access
want it
anything
now.
around
I
any
want the
time,
news
you know?
now.
Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom.
So that is more like a overstimulation of information
Yeah.
versus
Absolutely. Yeah.
way slower pace, which you can attest to,
Right.
because you grew up in those
All right,
times
I used
more.
to read the newspaper and then put it down, and then
Yeah.
you're done with the news. You put it
Yeah.
away.
You go about
It
your day
allows you to like prioritize things that are
Right.
more
in
important
your actual life.
in your actual life.
Mhm.
Yes, which can be a lesson to learn for people nowadays. Is
You have to
if you
know when to
notice
put
it,
down. The
yeah, if you notice it
computer,
affecting you too
close
negatively,
your computer,
yeah,
put your phone down, just like you
Focus
put the
on-
newspaper down.
things you can control, things that you can do with your day to day, like around the house or getting out doing something, stuff like that. Focus on more so than always having your phone on you.
Well, I do want to get into the physiological aspects of negative news on the brain. But I did want to mention Jennifer sent me a screenshot of her notifications that come in on her phone. I don't know if I'll post it. I'll have to ask her, but there were literally like 20 notifications from an app, and it was all like
News
negative
apps?
news.
Yeah, I don't
And
do
she
that.
said, Janelle, look at all these notifications I got. And I was like, turn those off. Like,
Yeah.
why do you have those on?
I highly
So-
recommend turn off pretty much most of your notifications.
Yes, I did
And
that.
then allow yourself to be the one that goes into those apps to see
Yes.
what's up when you want to.
I have my phone on silent all day long.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't even ring, you guys.
I do the same thing. On
And so,
silent,
like-
most notifications are off.
Yeah, like I turned off all of my app notifications, my text notifications. So if you send me a text and I don't respond right away, that's why, because I don't even hear it.
Mhm.
So that's, because you got to do that for me, for my own mental health. Because when you hear a notification, it's like the Pavlov's dog's effect.
By the way, this
you hear the
goes
ring and it's like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
This
It's
goes-
overstimulating. That's what
Yeah.
it is.
this goes without saying, but also with your phones, when you're in your phone looking at news and media, whatever it might be, which is what this podcast is about, you also have the chance of so many other distractions happening from your phone,
Right, exactly.
whether it be a
yes.
text message, an email,
Yeah, that's another
financial
thing,
stuff
like,
you might be doing or whatever, and
I've made it
there's a lot of distractions.
I've made
possible.
it a point to, like, when somebody, because people can get lost in their phone, and when somebody's trying to have a conversation with you, you can't be on your phone at the same time.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
So I've like, whenever somebody starts talking to me, I'll put my phone like down immediately so I can engage in the conversation,
Mm-hmm.
But I did want to get into how negative news actually affects your brain physiologically. So
Yeah,
It'll-
you did the research on that. I didn't do the research on that.
well,
You
I
got that
actually
info.
learned a lot about myself during this. It activates your amygdala, which you guys know, which is your threat detector in your brain.
Mhm.
So it's the part of your brain responsible for detecting danger. So when you see headlines about violence, war, crime, disasters, your amygdala, is that how you say it?
Amygdala. Yeah, it's depending on.
So
who you
it
are, I guess.
reacts as if the threat is close to you, even if it's not happening right where
Fight
you
or
are.
flight.
Yeah.
Fight or flight feeling.
So then that can trigger increased heart rate, tight chest, shallow breathing, heightened alertness, and then you shift into, like Mommy just said, fight or flight mode.
Mhm.
And that does happen to me with certain news stories, I will admit.
I will add to that. I don't know if you came across this, but this probably didn't. So another thing that adds to that is you're anticipating with the negative news stories. You're anticipating the
Yeah.
dopamine jump when there's a resolution to the news story.
Yes, exactly.
Like, for example, if you find
Yep.
out that
Mhm.
Nancy Guthrie is found and she's alive, then
yeah.
you're gonna feel great
That's a
because you
part
know
of
it's a
a-
resolution. So that's also, I'm sure, a
That's
factor
what we're
in that.
waiting for. Have her found.
That's a part of what they call cognitive fatigue.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But so one study found that people showed an increase in symptoms after only 14 minutes of news consumption. So this resonated with me. The symptoms are made worse when you feel like you cannot improve the situation that you're learning about on the news.
Mhm.
That's totally me.
Which
all the
I
way.
will say that is the majority of the news, unless it's something local that you can have an impact.
Yeah,
on.
like you feel
Yeah.
like a helpless and a hopeless type of feeling if you can't do anything to contribute about the news that you're hearing,
Yep.
Then if it bothers you so much you can't sleep, that's going to affect your brain chemicals
Right, exactly.
to create
Yeah.
other problems.
Exactly.
Which can
yes.
throw everything out of whack.
Right.
So let's reiterate what to do.
Put your
keep,
phones down.
Keep your phone off of your nightstand.
Turn the TV off.
Seriously, keep your phone. I don't do any of this stuff, guys. I'm just gonna be honest right now.
You need to work
All
on
this
this,
stuff,
gotta work on it.
All the stuff I'm about to mention, I don't do, but guess what? I'm gonna start to do. okay?
Utilize your
I
coping
promise.
skills. I feel like we're gonna say that every episode.
Well, no, wait, I do some of these things, but this first one I don't do, which is, Mom, you're great at this. You keep your phone off of your nightstand.
I'm guilty. I
Don't-
don't do that. I need to
It's-
work on that.
It's out of my room.
Don't
Yeah.
consume negative news stories like a couple hours before you go to bed, and when you wake up.
Well, speaking
'cause-
of the brain too, like some people will say that the Wi-Fi is not good for you either.
Right.
Like
oh yeah,
signals flying through the air.
dude, that's a whole.
Some
other
people say you
show.
should
That's
just
a
turn
other
off
show.
your router to
Right.
your house in the overnight hours.
That's a whole other show.
I know it is, but I had to mention it. I just thought of it.
Yeah.
So there's
Again-
also that possibility.
Again, Jennifer, if you're listening, turn off your notifications. Okay.
Yep.
That's the other one. And then I did this as well. I have to mention Parkland for a second, because when that happened, Parkland, that was a shift for me. Like, I remember watching TV and I was watching that news coverage constantly when it happened. And I was watching an interview with one of the parents of the victims, and I couldn't do it no more. And I just all of a sudden turned the TV off.
That's what you have to do.
I turned it off, and my TV honestly hasn't been on since then. Like, I don't even watch it anymore, because prior to that, I was obsessed with watching the news. But that really changed me as far as being obsessive about, watching the news 24/7. But so, like, I also did this on my social medias too. Like, unfollow or mute accounts
Mm-hmm.
that post negative content on your social medias. So, if
Or snooze them.
yeah,
for a
or
month,
snooze
you
them,
know?
yeah, or snooze them, because they do have the option now,
Yep.
actually. But
Yep.
so which this gets back to newspapers. Try reading the news instead of watching a video of it, because studies show that can be less triggering.
Yeah.
So it's partly due to less disturbing imagery with written articles, which is true. Because when you're watching a video with violent images, that will impact you versus reading it. So
That's true.
I will add something real quick
That's
to that
true,
too.
because I
Is
used to read newspapers, and,
Yeah.
you can just put it
you
down.
can kind of tear yourself
It's-
away
yeah, you
easier.
tear
Try-
yourself away. easier.
try to access things that are like fact based versus opinion, of like all the different opinion based news channels that are out there. Try to avoid those and just focus on the facts of whatever it is you're looking for.
And I don't do this either. After you watch anything that's negative or bothers you, decompress, okay? Go outside, job. I was just telling you earlier,
Grounding.
I need to go outside and walk on the grass more, or touch grass.
Yeah,
as
we
people
need
say,
spring to
because-
hit soon.
Because like engaging in hobbies like that, physical hobbies like that, does help.
Hmm.
So try to do that, and then focus on the good. So Mr. Rogers had a famous quote when times of crisis would occur, and he said, "When I was a boy and I would see scary things in the news, my mother would say to me, 'Look for the helpers. You will always find people who are helping,'"
Hmm.
which is true.
True. Very true.
Yeah, you have to seek it out.
So when you're over consuming negative news media, go look for something that will bring you positivity
Mhm.
and lightness.
Which, by the way, I will say that us doing this podcast is something that does help. I
Yeah.
think, especially for you, Janelle, I think it helps you with coping of certain things too.
It does, yeah. I mean, I should be in therapy. I'm not gonna lie. I should, but
take away the stigma of getting
Yeah.
therapy. It's not a
Yeah.
bad thing.
No,
If
it's
you
not
need
a
it,
thing.
if
It's
you
not
need
at
it, go
all.
and get it.
and I'm taking that more seriously the older I get, because I think it would be a lot more helpful than me just trying to cope with it on my own.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's getting to my next tip here. If you find that you can't stop doom scrolling or, consuming negative news media, maybe you should talk to your doctor or therapist, because they will give you, tips to help that.
Hmm. Another thing that can help with the coping too is we mentioned this during our meeting is during times of crisis, communities do come together
They do.
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
like a
Yeah.
support is
Right.
created,
Well, I guess that's
Yeah.
one of the
Which-
brighter things, and like
which can be online support
yeah.
too. You know.
like community, when communities come together in tragedy, that's one of the more beautiful things that can come from it. So
Because you end up talking
there's
and
a lot
interacting with
of-
people that you never would have otherwise.
Like we had that vigil we went to for after 9/11. Remember?
yeah, after
The whole
9/11 we
community
had a
came
vigil.
together.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
Several
it
of
was
them.
very it was very like heartwarming to be in that community of people and be surrounded by just love. Nothing but love. So but
Yeah, that makes a big difference.
so who's the most vulnerable? We kind of already talked about this a little bit, but who's the most vulnerable would be like people like me with anxiety and
Empaths. Just say empaths. 'Cause
Teenage.
I feel like
Yeah, and
all
you know what?
that's a major
Yeah.
personality trait that is affected by this stuff.
So Yeah, people who have anxiety, panic disorder, health anxiety,
Any
kids,
any mental health
Teenagers.
diagnosis, I'd say, is
Yeah.
vulnerable.
yeah,
Teenagers with developing brains because they don't know which way
Yeah.
to go.
yeah,
you
like
know?
catastrophic thinking, which I'm
Yeah.
horrible at. Hypervigilance, also horrible at.
Unfortunately, the
So-
more you go through the experience of this, you do become more and more, experienced in dealing with it. So people that haven't experienced negative news obviously are most vulnerable.
Yeah, I want to say, like, if you have little kids in your house, try to be mindful of what they're consuming, because
Yeah, because their perspective
yeah,
is
they're
you don't
still
exactly know what it is.
they're still developing the emotional regulation and critical thinking skills. So they might not be able to, like, they'll
Process
feel
it. They don't
feel
know how to
unsafe.
process it.
They'll feel
Right.
unsafe a lot more
They-
quickly than an adult
They
would.
think something's going to happen to them or their
Exactly,
family,
yeah.
so try not to watch negative
Also-
news.
Also, be aware of the people in your life that you do think are more vulnerable and try to keep an eye on them because they could become obsessive over the stuff. It can lead to mania
Right.
and possibly hospitalization, which
Yeah.
a lot of that has to do with just they need a break. And I had experiences when I worked at the missions downtown. Is a lot of people just go for like a 3-day weekend in the hospital because they need a break from everything.
Yeah, that's
And,
that's
and it's
yeah,
like a reset for
right.
them.
Yeah.
And a lot of that has to do with, I'm sure, negativity in the news.
Yeah, we have experience with that with Dad, actually, because he was bipolar, and negative news stories do affect people in that way to the point where they can have a psychotic break or go into to a manic episode.
Well, because they can't sleep because they're
Yeah,
worried about
because
the
they
news.
lose sleep.
Which then brings the news story, like thinking about that, and then it brings the negativity into your household because then he goes through the process of that mania
Right.
and dealing with that, and it becomes personal.
Right.
So you have to
exactly.
be educated on this, and
So it
eventually
can directly affect that.
you're aware of it, so you try to avoid news at all costs, especially negative news.
Puts even more emphasis on learning how to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. So I just want to make an important point here, that just because you're more vulnerable to like negative news media does not mean you're dramatic, does not mean you're fragile. It just means that your nervous system is responding strongly to whatever the perceived threat is. So some people are more sensitive than others. Some people feel more deeply. Some people can scroll and move on. Like, Mom and Jeff, you can do that.
Mhm.
Others absorb it, like me and maybe Jen. But neither of those are the wrong thing. You just have to be aware of it and be able to pull yourself away when it's getting to be too much. So you're not weak for being affected by the news. You're empathetic and you care. You can still be educated, but again, be mindful of how it's impacting you negatively.
Mhm.
Always remember to seek help from your physician if you can't cope.
Yeah, or call 988 if you're struggling.
Yeah, but I feel like it's another thing we have to always mention during these podcasts is to
Yeah.
access that number if you need to.
988 will help you because we've used 988 several times in our family. So the signs that you're over consuming negative news media is you'll feel on edge for absolutely no clear reason, even when nothing is happening around you. So if you're snapping at somebody for drinking the last cup of milk, maybe you want to take a step back and realize why
You're already triggered from all of it.
So if you check the news first thing in the morning, your brain is already scanning for crisis. So don't do that. It's affecting your sleep, which for me, I'll have nightmares.
It's a little bit of like
And-
obsessive compulsive checking.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is
And-
OCD.
Insomnia. I have
Mhm.
wicked insomnia when I'm deep into following a case
You ever notice your mood drops after scrolling
all the time.
while you're scrolling?
All the time.
So that at that point, that's a
All
sign
the
to
time.
like put your phone down.
Especially like I have a very visceral response to especially animal abuse stories.
Mhm.
Those will trigger me to the point where I'm like inconsolable,
Yeah,
and I have to like just get off my phone because I
but
can't.
at the same time, it's difficult to like.
It
It's hard to
is.
disengage.
Yeah, because I need to know what
You
happened
need
to
to
the
know what happened.
I
Yeah.
need
You
to
have
know
to
what
know
happened.
the conclusion to that.
I need to
like-
know what happened to the dog. Did the dog
Right.
survive?
Yeah.
Type thing. Like that gets into my heart and my soul all the
Yeah.
time. So, but yeah, like if you feel hopeless or helpless, which we were talking about earlier, that's another clear sign. So then you can start thinking things like, the world is falling apart. Nothing is going to get better. Humanity sucks. humanity's nothing but evil. What's the point? That's a sign that you're consuming more crisis than things that are going to be balancing. Another sign is you talk about negative news constantly, or your body feels heavy after scrolling.
Yeah, that just means it's in the forefront of your thoughts.
Yeah.
If that's what if someone's asks you what's going on, and then you bring up something negative all the time.
Yeah, so I have a lot of issues. I gotta work on myself, guys.
Well, people have
I'm
to
realizing
realize,
going through this, I need to work on
You know,
myself.
Janelle, people have to realize that if they can't control a certain situation in the news,
Mhm.
they have to learn to let it go.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing they can do.
You know what though? I hate that. I hate that phrase.
Let it go.
But
Hey,
Elsa
hey.
said it in Frozen. You
I'm
want to
gonna say
break?
let it go.
You want to break out into song
I'm
here,
going to
guys?
say let it go.
Let it go.
Let it go.
Wait. God is in control. Remember that
Yeah.
always.
But yeah, like I feel like consuming, so like this is kind of making me realize how much I overconsume negative media, and I really got to work on not doing that.
Well, why don't you start a good news reel?
Well, they do exist though.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't feel like there's enough of them,
There's not
honestly.
enough of
But
them.
They're not
But people like drama.
successful
That's why they want
because
the
of
negative
that, like we
news.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Like there's more attention
Drama.
on the negativity for whatever reason. It's a psychological thing.
yeah, so getting back to like the physiological, like we're not meant to absorb all this negativity and negative catastrophic news all day long. We're just not meant to do that. Of course you're going to feel overwhelmed, you know? Getting into like the good news, there's the good, do you guys know about the Good News Network, which came out, I think that came out during COVID actually.
No, I'm
But yeah,
not
like
really-
it's just uplifting or good news focused. Or there's Upworthy too.
Yeah.
Upworthy.
Yeah.
So they like will highlight inspirational human stories. So if you need like a buffer or just get away from the negative news media, go check out those sites because they'll give you some uplifting stories.
You can also do like a check on your social media and just go on any of your apps,
Yeah.
scroll, and for each thing you see, ask yourself, is this a positive or a negative thing, and how does
Right.
it affect me?
Mm,
And if you notice there's too much negativity, try to change that balance.
right.
You know, everyone can work on that. So I want to do a little experiment. You know, this is what I was talking to you about. So
Okay. But
did you guys hear?
Inspire.
Did you guys hear in 2025? Japan experiencing an unprecedented crisis with bear sightings and attacks, with over 36,000 sightings and numerous injuries and deaths
Is
because
that-
of it.
is that true?
Have you heard about that?
No.
No.
Exactly. You haven't. Now, what about in Italy? Have you heard about the tens of thousands of young, skilled Italians continuing to leave annually
No.
No.
because they're seeking a better life elsewhere?
Are these real headlines?
These are news stories in these countries, yes.
Okay.
So in China, what about the rat head scandal in
No.
2025?
No.
No.
So there was a story that gained a lot of traction because it was about a school where they found in the cafeteria meal was a rodent head,
Okay.
and that the media, or I guess the school and the government tried to say it was duck meat. But this got a lot of attention in China at the time.
This is an actual real story.
These are real stories,
Okay.
yes. And so then you might have heard about this one for Canada, the cost of living and housing crisis. That's like a little bit more of a popular one. But
Yeah.
have you heard of that? So consistently ranked as the top concern for Canadians, with 2/3 of the population feeling the pinch.
Oh, so that's
So
a
it's
big
a major
Canadian-
news
yeah,
story
yeah.
in Canada.
Uh-huh.
Now, the last one is in France, the killing of a far-right activist in 2020. So this just happened this year, 2026, which intensified political polarization. So what I'm trying to get at
What's your
here
point, Jeff?
is,
There's more
so-
negativity.
so we as Americans don't hear of the stories going on
No.
internationally
No, we don't.
because it's not a major news story for us.
Yeah, right.
And so unless it's like a worldwide topic like COVID,
Right.
we-
yeah,
everybody
was
knew about that,
global,
you know?
yes.
but the point to make is like we pay attention to the negativity in the news here in America and in our local communities, but there's
Yeah.
there's negativity everywhere,
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
and to some degree, and we are for the most part uninformed of it. So how can it have an
It's-
effect on our mental health if we have no idea about it going on?
Well, that's
right.
by design too.
So, yeah. What do you mean? What do you mean by
that's
by
by design. Like the U.S. doesn't cover a lot of global things just because it's not
It's
happening
not
in the
important.
U.S.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's also the main point I'm making is if you don't know that something's happening,
Yeah.
It can't affect your
No,
mental health
no, it
Right.
can't.
unless you somehow hear about it because you're seeking it out
Yeah.
yourself.
Okay, yeah.
So it's just something to think about. Like I feel like we cognitively have the ability to not let the negativity affect us.
Well, that's like what we were talking about earlier, going
Yeah.
back to the 90s. We didn't have apps on our phone that would tell us what was
Mhm.
happening in France or Germany or, anywhere.
It's just a matter of developing that skill, like accessing the things you talked about with coping.
Yeah.
We have to be more proactive with that.
Yeah. Right.
And a lot of people just don't do that because they go on their day to day and they're just used to their behaviors and
Mhm.
then they're not working on it.
No, that's
But we
true.
all
yeah.
can work on it.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can.
People need to learn how to compartmentalize. Like put this here, put this in this box, put this in that box. And then maybe people would cope better with their life.
Maybe we should do a show on just how to compartmentalize.
That would be
Because
very
I don't even know. How
I
to do
wish
that.
I
Like,
can like
I feel like that's part
know
of.
how my brain works
Yeah,
to
like-
be able to do that
I feel like
and
there's-
how to develop that skill. I don't know if it's possible to develop
I've,
it if you
I've
don't
been
have
doing
it.
that my whole life, ever since I was in nursing school.
because that is a good tool for mental health. But how do you do it? Does it have to be something that you're born with, so to speak?
We would have
You
to
can
research
learn. You
that.
have
Or
to
can-
There
learn.
might be
like,
ways.
You can
you know,
educate
There might be ways.
yourself.
Because I feel like for me, it would be so hard to do that. Like, it would be so hard for me to do
Yeah.
that. Just me being such an emotional person. But
Well,
I don't know.
it
Maybe
all goes
maybe
back
I'll
to-
do it as a science
you know,
experiment, guys.
it all goes back to what
Like,
you have control over.
psychological experiment here.
I wonder if they ever have done research on that, like case studies where they try to improve that with someone. It'd be an interesting
Yeah.
thing to
So
look up.
I think we're gonna wrap up. But do you guys have anything more to add?
Well, you covered the
Because-
coping.
Yeah.
Um,
I want to know what our listeners do to cope with negative news stories.
Let's try to focus on the good news stories.
know your limits
I mean,
with the negativity.
See, my
We
thing
already
is,
covered that. But
I feel like you need to be educated about what's happening in your world and around your world, but there's boundaries to that.
There is
You
boundaries.
have to have boundaries.
I just like to be informed.
just say an
about
example
things.
of the overconsumption because I made a note when we had our meeting.
Oh yeah, okay.
So just after the meeting that we had for this podcast that we're doing right now, my mom went right on her phone to
Oh,
get
and
an
got right
update
back onto
on the Nancy
Nancy
Guthrie
Guthrie?
case
Yeah.
and to watch
Honestly,
the streamer she's
right.
watching on YouTube.
Where is Nancy? That's the question has been boggling my mind for a month now,
Yeah.
and it's stressful to follow that
I
case
just want to
because
know what
it's
happened to
so
her.
so bizarre. That's another thing, bizarre. I was trying to think of a word that's like
Bizarre,
more dramatic than
peculiar,
bizarre,
Very
like
peculiar.
because that's what this case is to me.
and
Like
it's like it pulls
Well,
you in because you want to know what happened to her. What kind
I
of person would
feel
do
like
this?
it's either something so simple like Occam's razor and it was a burglary gone wrong, or it's something so complex that no one's ever gonna think of it.
Yeah.
But I hope there's a resolution soon to it.
What's sad
because-
too is that the major news isn't really covering it as much
No,
now
not
because of the
anymore.
Iran
They're
stuff
not.
going
No,
on.
they're not. Well,
And,
Brian Enton's still there. Thank you,
Yes.
Brian.
Yeah, but
Because
for the most part though, you have to like seek that out and know
You
where to
do,
look to
yeah.
find out updates.
The live streamers on YouTube are following that case.
yeah, but we're praying for Nancy Guthrie because it's just horrific, that whole case and what we're learning about it. So
I can't imagine that happening to my mother.
yeah, we're praying for her
But
and
to
her
flip it to
family.
like what people should be focusing on is like the positive stuff. Try to shift your social media to more positive things.
Well, see, that's another thing I have
and
issue with.
work on the balance of
I can walk
Right.
away from it. Like maybe that's something to be grateful for, honestly, that you have the ability to walk away from it because it's not in your own.
Are you saying you can
personal
walk
life.
away from more positive things easier? Is that what you're
No, you
getting
can
at?
walk away from a story like Nancy Guthrie
you have no
because
control
it's
over
not
it.
your grandmother or
Right.
mother
Oh,
it's
yeah.
happening to, you
Yeah.
know. But that's the thing, like if you can walk away from it, like the family can't.
Well,
But
it goes back to the point where you're not in control.
Yeah, right.
So let it go.
Well,
It's a hard concept to grasp for
me,
someone like Janelle.
personally,
I get that. You can
Yeah,
get
but I
that.
care about other people too. But I'm able to compartmentalize it.
Yeah, it doesn't mean like coming from Janelle's
Right.
perspective, she might think that. It doesn't mean that at all. I mean, we do care. We just have the ability.
do you guys know what I'm gonna
to
do right
fo-
after we're done with
Yeah.
this show?
Well, I'm
We
gonna
have-
go right back to my YouTube
I'm
channel.
gonna go against everything that we were just talking about.
Well, I need to be informed. This is such a
I
bizarre
believe
case.
it. I believe it.
I'm gonna check in with Brian. I'm
solve
gonna
this
check
case.
in with, possible new updates.
You feel somewhat obligated, like you
I
have
do.
to do it.
I
Out what
truly
I think that's
do.
part of it
I
too.
truly do.
Yeah.
Yes,
If I lived
do.
in Arizona, I would be on a search party for her.
I would be involved, absolutely. But because it's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. So yeah, we're praying for
Right.
Nancy and we're praying for her family and
Pray for the people in
just
Iran.
pray that she's found soon.
Pray for everybody. Our
Praying for
servicemen and
Iran,
women.
our servicemen. Yes.
Everybody around the world that's
Thank
dealing
you
with, 'cause
for
there's a
your
lot of other
service.
conflicts going on too. I try to always pray for that.
Yeah, we thank you for your service and we're grateful. And to the families as well. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you for listening. I think we're gonna wrap this up now. Any final thoughts, gang?
Remember,
Not always do
Where your
that.
children are.
yeah,
Oh,
where are
wait.
your children?
Yeah, it's 11 o'clock. Do you know where your children are? Come on, we had to close out with that, but yeah, again, thank you for listening, and we're on our socials with Tweed Townhall Presents. So if you want to give us a follow, subscribe to our channel, and follow us for more shows on mental health.
Go on YouTube and share that direct YouTube link if you can.
Yeah, share this with anybody you think it might help. Yeah, we thank you everyone for listening.
Yep, thank you guys.
Thank you.
And remember to take care of yourself.
Take care of others.
And take care of the ones you love. And also be kind to others, but also be kind to yourself. Thank you again, everybody, for listening.
Thank you, guys.
And
Thank you for listening.
we'll see you on the next
See you
one.
next
Take
time.
care.
Bye.